Welcome back, everyone, to another deep dive. Today we'll be exploring a book all about self-improvement, 55 questions across 8 dimensions for a new you by Manoj Chintamarakshan.
It's a really fascinating exploration.
And it really digs deep into how to unlock, well, a new you through a series of thought-provoking questions.
And what's really interesting is that it's structured in a way that you
Yeah.
can use it for self-reflection, but it also suggests you could go through it with a partner.
So it's got this collaborative element,
Exactly.
which I think is kind of cool.
It can really help uncover, I think, hidden strength and opportunities.
Interesting.
So are we ready to jump in?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. So the book starts off with a pretty basic fundamental question.
Okay.
Who am I?
I feel like we've all asked ourselves that at some point.
Right, but the book really emphasizes that how you view yourself is even more important than how others view you.
It's like looking in the mirror and actually seeing the person reflected back at you.
Not trying to change how they look.
But understanding who they are?
Exactly, yeah. And the book suggests that to do that, you can look at areas of your life, like your relationships, your career.
Because those often reflect back to how you see yourself. Have you ever felt that disconnect between how you see yourself and how others see you?
Oh, absolutely. I think that's a very common experience.
It is.
But this question, who am I, can really help you understand that and sort of bridge that gap.
So it's about finding that alignment
Yes.
between your internal self and how you project yourself to the world.
I remember working with someone once. They were incredibly talented, brilliant actually, but they were so plagued by imposter syndrome, they couldn't see their own talents
Because they were so focused on how others perceived them.
until they grappled with this question of who am I?
It's so powerful the way that we can sometimes define ourselves based on external validation rather than our own internal compass.
Definitely.
So, moving on, the book talks about role models and strengths.
It encourages you to identify 3 role models and really examine their qualities.
What kind of examples does it give?
Well, it mentions people like Gandhi,
Okay.
who was known for his composure.
Even in the face of adversity.
Exactly, yeah. And it highlights that even family members can be role models.
That's a good point.
Right.
Yeah.
What qualities do you admire in your role models? And do those qualities resonate with your strengths?
I think that's a great question for our listeners to consider.
It is.
Sometimes our greatest strengths are the ones that we don't even realize we have.
Our hidden talents.
So let's shift gears a bit.
Okay.
The book also challenges us to think about our obstacles.
Asking, what were your biggest challenges and how did you overcome them?
Obstacles are part of life, aren't they?
They are.
But it's how we respond to them that really defines us.
It's a learning opportunity.
I always think about Walt Disney and how his childhood hardships actually fueled his resilience
It's true. Yeah.
and contributed to his ultimate success.
Right. So what about our listeners? What obstacles have you faced that, looking back, made you stronger or wiser?
It's amazing how those experiences that we might initially perceive as setbacks
Yeah.
can actually pave the way for future success.
It's all about perspective.
Definitely.
And then the book asks us to think about, what do you love doing? What brings you joy?
Both in terms of career and passions,
And it encourages you to embrace those things.
even if they're not traditionally lauded.
Right. Like, it doesn't matter if society says this is a good job or a good hobby.
It's about your fulfillment.
Exactly.
So if you love, I don't know, collecting stamps or building model airplanes,
Or knitting.
do it. Own it.
Absolutely. Your passions are what make you, you.
That's such an important message.
And then the book poses this really intriguing question.
Okay.
If money were no object, what would you do?
Oh, I love that question.
Take a moment to really think about that,
What would you do if you had all the money in the world?
because that really reveals your core desires and values.
It does. It strips away all those practical limitations
It does.
and lets you tap into what truly matters to you.
Right. And it can also reveal some personality traits that might be hidden in your everyday life.
So maybe you'd start a charity or travel the world.
Maybe write that novel you've always dreamed of.
And then the book follows up with a really cool question.
Okay.
What's one thing you'd keep doing, even if you had all the riches in the world? I like how it kind of refines
It does.
your true passions.
Yeah, it helps you really hone in on what matters most.
And then it gets even more personal
Oh,
with the question, what completes you as an individual?
that's a deep one.
It is. And the answers to these questions can be so revealing.
They can be.
They really force you to think about what truly matters in your life.
Now, let's talk about goal setting.
Okay.
The book really stresses the importance of clarity.
Like having a clear vision of what you want to achieve.
Exactly. And it even quotes Tony Robbins, who said, "Clarity is power."
I love that quote.
It's so true.
If you don't know where you're going,
You'll never get there.
the book uses this analogy of a private jet
Mm.
without a destination.
You're just flying around aimlessly.
Right. It's impressive, but it's not very productive.
And it emphasizes that it's not enough to just have goals.
Right.
You have to define them with specific time frames
To create that sense of urgency.
to really make you commit.
It suggests different timelines, like 6 months, 3 months, even this week.
Yeah, so that those goals feel achievable.
I like that approach.
Breaking those big, daunting goals down into smaller chunks.
Makes it feel less overwhelming.
Definitely.
Now, the book also delves into the realm of beliefs and values.
Quoting Wayne Dyer, who said, "The only limits you have are the limits you believe."
That's powerful.
It is, right? It suggests that we have so much more potential than we often realize.
We limit ourselves with our own beliefs.
Exactly. And it encourages you to embrace your unique set of beliefs.
To live life on your own terms.
Yeah.
And then it asks this interesting question.
What is it?
What irritates you the most?
That's a strange one.
Might seem random,
It does.
but the book suggests that understanding our irritations can actually reveal our underlying values.
How so?
Well, for example, if traffic jams really get under your skin, it might indicate that you value efficiency
Oh, okay.
and a desire for smooth progress.
That makes sense.
Or if you're constantly annoyed by loud neighbors.
It could mean you value peace and quiet.
Exactly.
So those little annoyances are actually clues.
To what we truly cherish.
I like that.
It's all about self-awareness,
Now let's move on to the importance of taking action.
putting those ideas into practice.
The book quotes Gary Vaynerchuk, who famously said,
Okay.
"Ideas are shit, execution matters."
Now, I wouldn't say ideas are shit,
Right.
but I do think Gary makes a good point.
He does, yeah.
Ideas are only as good as their execution.
It's about bridging that gap between conception and realization.
And the book points out this archetype of the brilliant thinker who struggles to actually execute their ideas.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
I know. Yeah.
And so it emphasizes breaking those goals down into smaller steps.
Making them more manageable.
Exactly, like starting with a 6-month goal
Mm.
and then working backward to define weekly, even daily actions.
Creating a roadmap for success.
Exactly.
Step by step.
And now, let's talk about the power of habits.
The building blocks of our lives.
The book quotes Earl Nightingale, who said,
Huh?
"Success is nothing more than the progressive realization of a worthy ideal."
I like how that quote reframes success as a habit
It's about consistent action.
and self-discipline.
It's not about a grand finale.
But the daily choices that we make,
Right.
the book emphasizes breaking those negative habits.
To make space for positive ones.
Like, for example, it suggests replacing the habit of sleeping late
Mm-hmm.
with a consistent bedtime routine.
It's about structure.
Replacing those detrimental patterns with beneficial ones.
Definitely.
And then it brings up this idea of accountability partners.
Having someone to help you stay on track.
Someone to encourage you, to keep you focused.
Do you have someone in your life who could be that person?
I think that's an important question for our listeners to consider.
It
It's
is.
so valuable to have that support
To have someone who believes in you.
and can celebrate your achievements with you.
The book outlines some qualities of a good accountability partner.
Things like shared values,
Mm-hmm.
a history of success,
And most importantly, genuine care.
because it's also about having someone to call when you're feeling down.
It's that emotional support.
They can make all the difference.
And finally, let's talk about celebrating achievements.
Big and small.
How do you like to celebrate your wins?
I think it's important to acknowledge those moments of success,
Is
regardless of how big or small they may seem.
the book encourages us to celebrate not just the final goal,
Right.
but those milestones along the way.
It's like rewarding yourself for all the hard work you've put in.
And it suggests rewarding yourself with something you've been wanting
It's a great idea.
and to share your victories with someone you care about.
It amplifies that sense of accomplishment.
It does.
So to recap,
Okay.
we've talked about self-image, the importance of clarity in our goals,
Taking action, building positive habits,
finding accountability, embracing our passions.
and celebrating our achievements.
It's been a great discussion so far,
It has
and we've only just scratched the surface of this book.
so much to unpack in this book. Picking up from our last point, let's delve into another profound question the book presents. What completes you as an individual? It's a powerful prompt, isn't it?
It really is. It makes you stop and think about what truly gives your life meaning beyond the everyday hustle and bustle.
It really encourages us to examine the sources of our fulfillment beyond our careers or external achievements.
It reminds us that true fulfillment comes from within, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. It's about aligning our actions with our values and living a life that feels authentic and purpose driven. But it's important to note that the path to self improvement is not always a straight line.
It's an ongoing journey, a process of continuous growth and adaptation.
Exactly. It's about embracing new knowledge, challenging ourselves to evolve, and stepping outside our comfort zones.
And a big part of that is self-awareness, right?
Absolutely. It's about truly understanding our strengths, weaknesses, and aspirations so that we can make choices that resonate with who we are and who we want to become.
Yeah, these 55 questions are like guideposts along the way. They help us unearth those hidden truths about ourselves that can either propel us forward or hold us back.
It's fascinating how the book connects seemingly different concepts, don't you think?
Definitely.
For example, we talked about self-image, but it's not just about how you see yourself in a vacuum.
Right.
It's about how those perceptions influence your actions and eventually your habits.
So if you see yourself as someone who's always running late, that could lead to a habit of procrastination.
Precisely. And that's where self-discipline comes in. The book highlights the importance of adjusting your behavior in response to changing circumstances.
It's not just about willpower.
Right.
It's about recognizing those negative patterns and making a conscious choice to replace them with positive ones.
And this ties back into the concept of accountability partners.
Having someone to help you stay on track can be incredibly powerful.
It's like having a coach, a cheerleader, and a confidant all rolled into one. They can encourage you when you're feeling down, celebrate your successes, and gently nudge you back on course when you stray.
The book really emphasizes the importance of setting specific timeframes for our goals.
It's so easy to get lost in those long-term aspirations.
But when we break them down into smaller, more manageable chunks, they become much less daunting.
Instead of saying, I want to write a novel, you could say, I'm going to commit to writing one chapter a month for the next 6 months.
That seems much more achievable, right?
It is, and those small wins can fuel your momentum and keep you going.
It creates a positive feedback loop that reinforces your commitment to your goals.
The book also highlights the importance of acknowledging our accomplishments, both big and small.
Absolutely. Whether it's a celebratory dinner, a quiet moment of reflection, or simply sharing your success with someone you care about, it's important to recognize and appreciate those moments of victory.
It reinforces those positive feelings associated with achieving our goals and motivates us to keep striving.
And speaking of motivation, the book reminds us that self-improvement is not a one-time event, but a continuous journey.
It's about constantly seeking opportunities for growth and pushing ourselves beyond our comfort zones.
And that requires a certain degree of self-awareness, right?
Definitely. We need to understand our strengths, our weaknesses, our values, and our aspirations so we can make choices that align with our true selves.
And the book's 55 questions provide a framework for self-exploration, guiding us to uncover those hidden truths that can either hold us back or propel us forward.
It's like having a personalized roadmap for self-discovery, a blueprint for creating the life we want.
And it's amazing how the book manages to weave together all these seemingly disparate concepts into a holistic view of personal growth.
Like how our self-image influences our actions and ultimately our habits.
Right. For example, if someone sees themselves as perpetually tardy, that self-perception could actually reinforce a habit of procrastination.
Exactly. Which brings us back to the importance of self-discipline, of making conscious choices to change those negative patterns and replace them with positive ones.
And this circles back to the idea of having an accountability partner, someone who can support you in staying on track and making those changes.
It's like having a cheerleader, a coach, and a trusted friend all rolled into one. They can provide encouragement when you're feeling discouraged, celebrate your successes, and gently steer you back on course when you need it.
And remember the book's emphasis on setting specific timeframes for our goals.
It's so easy to get lost in those grand ambitions.
But when we break them down into smaller, more manageable steps, they instantly become less intimidating and more achievable. Instead of saying, I want to write a novel, you could reframe it as, I'm committing to writing one chapter each month for the next 6 months.
That feels a lot more doable, wouldn't you say?
Absolutely. And those small wins along the way can really fuel our motivation.
It's a positive feedback loop that encourages us to keep going.
And the book reminds us to celebrate those victories no matter how small.
Whether it's a special dinner, a quiet moment of reflection, or simply sharing your accomplishment with someone you care about, acknowledging those successes reinforces the positive feelings associated with achieving our goals.
And don't forget, the book encourages us to celebrate not just the final outcome, but also those incremental steps along the way.
Every step forward is a testament to our commitment and deserves to be recognized.
Each one is a little victory worth savoring.
And speaking of things to savor, the book also talks about the importance of passions.
It reminds us to find fulfillment outside of our careers.
It does. To tack into those activities that bring us joy, that spark our creativity.
Whether it's painting, writing, hiking, volunteering.
Anything that makes you feel truly alive.
And it's about giving ourselves permission to explore those passions.
Even if they don't seem practical or lucrative.
Sometimes the most rewarding experiences come from doing things simply for the love of them.
Without any expectation of external validation or financial gain.
Reclaiming our time and energy and investing it in what truly matters to us.
And often when we do that, we find that those passions can actually enrich other areas of our lives.
Our relationships, our work, our overall well-being.
It's a reminder that personal fulfillment can have this ripple effect.
Touching every aspect of our existence.
And the book also encourages us to think about the question, what completes you as an individual?
That's a good one.
It can be a real catalyst for introspection.
Forcing us to examine what truly brings meaning and purpose to our lives.
Beyond our careers, our daily routines.
It's about seeking that fulfillment from within.
Aligning our actions with our values.
And leading a life that feels both authentic and purpose-driven.
And of course, it's an ongoing journey.
The answers may evolve as we grow and change.
So, to our listener, as you continue on your path of self-improvement, keep that question close at hand.
Explore those activities, relationships, pursuits that make you feel whole and complete.
And don't be afraid to adapt and evolve as you learn more about yourself.
And the world around you.
Now, before we wrap up our deep dive into 55 questions across 8 dimensions for a new you, I thought it might be helpful to give our listener a concise 10-point summary
A little cheat sheet.
of the key insights we've uncovered today.
Sounds great. I'm ready when you are.
Okay, so number 1, your self-image is everything.
It's the foundation.
It influences your actions, your habits, your outcomes.
Number 2, clarity in your goals is essential.
Define what you want, set specific timeframes.
It makes it much easier to hit the target when you know what you're aiming for.
Number 3, action always trumps ideas.
Don't get stuck in the planning phase.
Take those steps, no matter how small, to bring your vision to life.
Number 4, recognize the power of habits.
Cultivate positive routines, break free from those negative patterns.
Small changes compounded over time can lead to big transformations.
Number 5, accountability is key.
Find someone who can support you, challenge you, celebrate with you.
Having a partner on this journey makes a world of difference.
Number 6, embrace your passions.
Even if they don't fit the conventional mold.
What brings you joy? Make time for it.
Number 7, resources are everywhere.
Tap into your network, your community, even your local library.
You might be surprised by the support and guidance you find.
Number 8, view challenges as opportunities.
Don't shy away from obstacles.
Embrace them as learning experiences.
They can build resilience and self-awareness.
Number 9, celebrate every milestone.
No matter how big or small.
Acknowledge your progress. Reward yourself along the way.
Those little victories can keep you motivated.
And number 10, self-improvement is a journey, not a destination.
Be kind to yourself. Embrace the process.
And never stop exploring the amazing person you're capable of becoming.
Beautifully said. 55 questions across 8 dimensions for a new you is a wonderful tool for self-reflection and growth.
And you can revisit it anytime you need a fresh perspective.
Thank you for joining us on this deep dive.
We hope you've gained some valuable insights and feel empowered to create a life filled with meaning and purpose.
Remember, the journey begins with you.
Embrace it with curiosity, compassion, and an unwavering belief in your own potential.